listening to Exposed Living Be Ageless, the podcast where we drop the masks, flip the script, and talk real life, real love, and real leadership unfiltered. I'm Stacey Van Thune, coach, speaker, entrepreneur, and founder of the Exposed Living movement that's redefining what it means to live, lead, and grow at any age. We talk identity, reinvention, belief, and freedom from the bedroom to the boardroom. Yes, we go there. This is not about staying young. This is about waking up. So if you're done with the shoulds and craving more fun, more freedom, more truth, more you, then grab your favorite drink, your bestie, maybe your journal. It's time. Let's get so official. Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's go. All right. Nancy. I'm gonna start, get all my stuff ready. I think, just so you know, one of the names, of course it'll come out, but one of the names I was thinking of was like Unfiltered Connections, what community really means now.
That's awesome.
For a title, okay?
Love it.
So I want you to know today that we are joined by Nancy Moore on Exposed Living. Nancy and I became friends a few months ago, and it has only continued to grow and expand as we express more of ourselves and challenge ourselves in new ways. And today, Nancy's coming on the show to talk all things community. My goal, our goal with this interview today is to uncover the deeper truths behind why connection matters more now than ever, especially for us Gen Xers. Yes, us that were born in the 70s, raised in the 80s, and partied in the 90s. The reality is we're having to navigate midlife identity shifts and how to build authentic community in a curated, filtered, tech-dominated world. I know when I even went to university, I didn't even use a computer. And so here we are being monopolized by distractions on our computers, on our cell phones all the time. We're in one of the times that we're the most connected, but people are feeling the loneliness. And I want to talk to Nancy about and get her insights into why is that and how we can overcome that. So welcome, Nancy, to Exposed Living.
Thank you. I am thrilled to be here. I am so proud of you for what you're doing and excited to talk to you today, have this conversation.
Well, I mean, it's people like you that inspire me. With your passion, purpose, and profitability model to help other women to lead through connections, to pursue their purpose. I just love it. And your energy is authentic and real, and I could feel it from the moment we walked in. So I'm just like really grateful for that.
Thank you.
Now we're going to get down real raw. I said, there's so many people that say that with conversations and then they say surface. And we're going to do our best to break through that, to uncover, to get exposed. And so, Nancy, to just kind of kick us off with something and getting exposed, I want you to share with the audience listening today, what's one thing most people don't know about you, but really shaped who you are today?
Okay. I just started sharing this very, very recently, but one of the things that I had been embarrassed about, and it's really shaped my entire career and even what I'm doing now, is that I was laid off from a job after about 9 months of work. 9 months of being employed at that company. And for me at the time, it was shameful and embarrassing to be part of a layoff. And it is something that I didn't share because I didn't want people to know. I thought it was, not something to be proud of. And so I have just recently started sharing that.
Honestly, thank you for sharing that. And as you share that, that's an exposed truth that I've never shared with anybody else either. And one time in my corporate career, I got to a place where I did not see eye to eye with the people leading. And they let me go. And I understand that sense of shamefulness and guilt and starting to question yourself. Like I prided myself on being a people leader. I'd always stuck up for the people. And then to have someone question that was really hard. So, you know what? I want to just kind of hang in there for a second and ask you, when you do feel that type of shame and guilt, I think that is what kind of starts to build up those layers subconsciously and not even recognizing. What would you say to somebody, like now looking back and knowing that that's helped to shape you? How can other people like break through that and not let that one moment define them in moving forward? Like, how did you expand through that?
So for me, looking back, now I realize what a blessing that it was. Because in all honesty, I was not thriving in that role. In fact, I was not only not thriving, I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't excited about going to the job that I had. And so I, just felt like I had made even the wrong career choice. And it turned out being a blessing because that's not what I wanted to do. But I think when people are worried about what others think, that is where they get hung up. And that is where I was. I was worried about what others would think of me and the type of person that I was, um, because I had gotten let go from this position. And so when start thinking, instead of thinking about what others are going to think, and just know that, you're going to be okay. You're going to get through it, and, you're going to be better for it. I think sometimes it's hard to see that at the time, but I think that is the case. That is not the path you're supposed to be on, and sometimes it's a forced decision like that was, but, I think if people can kind of reframe it.
It's interesting because I think that a lot of Gen X's
Mm-hmm.
worry about what people have thought. I think we're people that were growing up chasing these check marks, so to speak, of like, I've got to get this, and then I got this, and once I get this, then I'll get this, and this kind of persistent pursuit of happiness based on things external to them and how people perceived us to be, and how we wanted to appear to people. And to your point, it's taken some time and wisdom to reflect back and be like, you know what? That is not a belief that I need to hold on to anymore. It doesn't matter what people think. But even intellectually knowing that,
Mm-hmm.
it's not always as easy to like actually action it. Do you find?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And honestly, it's just been within this past maybe year that I have shared about that happening to me. And, I am better for it, but for some reason I had that hang up of I'm not good enough. I was let go of this job that everybody thought was a big deal. It came with accolades, a lot of money, a signing bonus, all these different things. And so I was down on myself for quite a while after that happened. Um, but I agree. Like our generation, you kind of just went on. I think you just kind of went on and didn't talk about it, didn't communicate with people about feelings and, about the struggles and that kind of thing. So to your point, it really has been within the past year and a half that I have been opening up about that. And it's amazing. Like you said, that you were, let go of a job. And I hear that from so many people. I didn't realize because we don't talk about it, and you're fine and you're great. And this is the path that you're supposed to be on. But, it was something that was kind of shunned, like sweep it under the rug, move on, don't say anything about it.
Oh my goodness, this is a perfect lead into then building communities and the
Mm-hmm.
types of passion that you have. Your podcast is called Sharing Passion and Purpose. So if anyone's not listening to it right now, get out there, look it up. She's incredible. But Nancy, share with us what sparked your passion for building connection through storytelling, because ultimately in storytelling, we're pulling back the rug, not sweeping it under.
Right, exactly. And I went into, and I'll just kind of share, my degree was in accounting at where I went to my university, Oklahoma State University, because I knew it was a guaranteed job. And so then when I got into it and realized I was so unhappy with it, I thought, oh, I can go to work 8 to 5 and make great money, because then when I'm off, I'll be able to afford to buy great things, buy great clothes, take great trips. And I didn't realize the quality of my life was so poor, because when I was at work, I didn't like, what I was doing. And it for me, the podcast is more about encouraging people to find and follow their passions and their purpose, and encouraging them in that. So I'm talking to people who are passionate about what they're doing and feel like they're living their purpose to inspire others. And I don't think that you have to go into something and not enjoy it. There are so many, I know you probably know, but I teach at Tulsa Community College. And so I'm always talking to my students about their quality of life, and not to look at the financial necessarily. And, I think the money will come, but I think it's more important for your health, for your mindset, for yourself, to do something that you enjoy doing. And you can find something that will also make the money. So through this podcast, I'm talking to people who are making the money, who are enjoying their lives, who have a great quality of life, and hopefully inspiring others to do the same.
I love it. When you're talking about that, I really believe some of this stems from, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on, and how we come from such lack, right? Another thing of Gen X, I think that we were growing up is, everybody, I'm sure when I say these things, are going to be able to finish the quote. Money doesn't grow on
yes
trees, right?
trees. Yes.
It's one of these things that it's not easy to earn. That once you earn it, you got to hold it tight, like invest it. And so it was all of these types of things, because our parents and their parents, went through some really big struggles. And I think subconsciously we just started to adopt some of these things where it was like, as long as I'm making the money, then life will be good. And I think it's also hilarious that you should know, when I went to go to university, I too went to be an accountant. And after the first year was this like, well, this isn't going to work. Like, I can't be behind a desk, and kind of shift it from accounting to more just like general business. But, it was still this expectation, though, now that I went into a certain line, that I got to finish it. And even if my gut told me there's a different path, then I still didn't take it, because it was almost like I would be failing to not finish the decision that I made. Do you resonate with that at all?
Oh, 100%. Yes. But I also came from a family that valued education and hard work, had a great work ethic. Yes. And I just felt like I could overcome not liking the career if I could make great money. And I also, of course, I wanted to be married. I wanted to meet my person, but I wanted to stand on my own 2 feet. And at the time when I was in college, people would joke, and I don't know, you've probably heard this too, but people were there to get their MRS degree.
Share what MRS is.
Mrs., like married. They were there to meet a husband, and many did, and they would even drop out of college and get married. And that, I didn't want to do that. Getting a degree was important to me, having a good job, not relying on anybody else to make money. And when I saw accounting, I mean, literally, I saw the dollar signs, literally and figuratively, and felt like, yes, this is the thing for me. But not, and they were, classes were challenging, which I figured out I'm a lifelong learner. So that was interesting, because people would say, how are you in this? What, how are you interested in accounting? And, it was until I got out, and I kind of at the end felt like this maybe isn't the path for me, but it's when I got out and started working in it as an auditor, and external auditor, which nobody's happy to see an auditor. That's what I was doing. Exactly. So, which that's a whole nother thing. I have lots of stories about that and how people weren't excited to see me. But anyway, so.
I love that. But I was just thinking as you were talking about, though, that, whether it's the Mrs. degree or going to things or impressing our parents or whatever the case, it's a sense of belonging.
Yes. Oh, 100%. Yes.
Right. And so, knowing what you do now and creating these communities for people to thrive in, how's your definition of belonging changed, or what does belonging mean to you now?
It is so refreshing to talk about this because there are so many people, and you teed it up at the beginning, who are maybe working in an environment and they're with a lot of people, but they don't have a sense of belonging or a community that they can plug into. And so I have seen this, and in talking to people about it, especially women in my community, I realized that there's a need for authentic connections and a community of women who will support other women. And you see, the hashtag women supporting women and, all of that, but that it's different online than it is in person. And even, we can jump online and that's even different for us being together because we made a true connection in person. And that is my favorite. The community that I have built and am building in Tulsa is an in-person community, a women's community. And I think that sense of belonging comes from being truthful with people, opening up, and sharing struggles, sharing triumphs, making those connections. And so that's what I've seen the biggest benefit of creating this community. It's helping women who maybe didn't know how to plug in and wanted that community, wanted that sense of belonging.
Yeah, I really love this because I've got two ways to go here right now, and I want to go on both. One, to talk about like the differences in trying to plug into a community when you're online. Mm-hmm. And I think that we're fed such stuff of like, don't believe everything you see online. It's not always true. And there's some of us that show up online. I'm like, but yeah, it is. Like some is true too. Like mm-hmm. I get that, they're not all, but they're also not all. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious to you, when we are talking about social media, how do you think, has social media helped to curate connections, or is it harder to be real on it? Or, how did you find you've flourished the most when building connections online, probably even through your podcast as well?
Okay, so I'm probably different, but I love social media. I love getting on and connecting because now I know that you went for a swim. Was it yesterday you went swimming? So I know my people. I look for my people. That's how I stay connected. And it's a fun way to stay connected. And you specifically are very good about going and doing some different recordings, some video. And when I hear from you, I love it. And so there's certain people that I follow that I think are refreshing, that are energizing to me. And you create and curate your own social media for yourself, who you're seeing, who you follow, who you don't follow. And so I always recommend to people, do a social media audit, get the people out that shouldn't be there anymore. If you have a feeling of you feel bad or you're not connecting with somebody, unfollow them. And that's okay. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I think that you connect with different people, and those are the people that you should be engaging with, connecting with, following. And so I love it. And I'll share different stories. I don't share a ton about my family because my kids now, I'm an empty nester, my husband and I. And so they're not around a lot. My son's even away in college and my daughter's around Tulsa, but I just go on myself and I share different things, and I'll have people, the comments that that people make are so nice. Like I'm lucky. I will just admit, I think I have the best community in the world because they are an amazing group of people and they're uplifting, and I get just amazing comments. So I love social media. I think it's a great way to connect with people, but my favorite platform's Instagram. So find me on Instagram.
Find her on Instagram. We're going to
Yes.
talk where you can find her after. But Nancy, I want to share that you can't attract who you're not. The reason I believe you have such an incredible community is because you're an incredible being doing great work out there. And so people see that and come. And you know what? Something that kind of went through my head when you were talking about what I'm going to do is like, if it makes you feel lonely, if it makes you feel like you're comparing yourself to others, men, women, drop
Yep.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let it go. You are so good by yourself. And I love what Nancy's saying. However, if there's people that you find inspiring, follow them, reach out to them too, right? I think that's the thing is then we get in our head of, they don't want to talk to me. They want these things. Yes. We're all here. And I love the tips that Nancy gives for building community, why community is so important. And I want to actually ask you to go a little bit deeper into this one thing is that when we talk about legacy, you talked about your kids being a little bit older. And I want to do a shout out to you and your husband married over 30 years. Let's talk even about how important community is for that. Because I think some people actually, I guess I'm going to go two ways again. Now that I brought up your husband, I think that there's a lot of women out there that they get in these communities, but they're for women. And it's almost like the man gets left behind. It's almost like this division. In order to be fulfilled, we can't do it together. I've got to do it over here and you do it there. But I don't find there's a lot of communities for men out there. And a lot of my clients are men and I see them kind of struggle through that. So I'm curious to get your thought on, how do you thrive in a community and so thrive in your marriage and like, do you have a combined community for your husband and you, or how do you do this?
Okay. So I'll just share a little about my husband because he's amazing. He is my biggest cheerleader. I just love him. And it's 29 years. It'll be 30 next August. So we're not quite to 30, but
I'm already for
I love it.
I guess I'm foretelling.
I love it. So yes, you are. So that's good. And so his personality though, he is a CPA. He is more of an introvert. He doesn't need a huge community. He's got great friends. He's got, his family. He's got extended family, and he doesn't need what I need to lift me up. And so he doesn't need that type of community like I do, but he is so encouraging because he will say, if this is what you want to do, go do it. And enjoy it. He doesn't make me feel bad, guilty for the time, the money, anything for investing in myself. And he will be the first to say, I hope you have a great time. So he and we have couples friends, that we do things with, but he's not on the track that I am, if that makes sense. For me, that fills my cup, being around great women, talking about substantial things and, connecting. And he's happy for me to do that, if that makes sense.
I love that. And you talk about, because I also think that there's a lot of women and men that are potentially around people, but the quality of the conversation is not there. So you still feel lonely. So can you share what's the difference between your community and others?
So,
or why it fills your cup, I guess, more so than
me personally, or
that it actually drains my cup, right?
Oh, yes.
Helping people to understand and maybe see the difference. That doesn't always mean because you're around people that's a healthy community for you to be in.
And I do recommend that people try out different communities. So if you're talking about me specifically in the community that I'm developing in the Tulsa area, so the events are curated to where people are meeting, because, if you hope to do things organically and get people in a room, a lot of times it doesn't happen. Those connections don't quite happen. Right. And so curating the experience so people are able to connect with, say, a table maybe has a question that they all get to answer that opens things up. They introduce themselves. They, maybe share a little bit about their favorite movie or book or and why, just kind of open things up. But there are ways to curate the experiences so people come away with realizing, oh, I met a great woman in that room. I heard a great conversation. I learned something. So for me, my community, I say it's to connect, learn, and grow. So they're connecting with people. They're learning about a topic because that's what I'm doing. I'm hosting live podcasts. I have speakers. I have an event coming up in 2 weeks. And so it's intentionally curated so people are able to make those connections and go away with something. So then they come back and they, get to know other women. And I think that I've been hearing so much about people who meet in the room and then they decide to have coffee and then they decide to do something in business together. And it just thrills me to death because I think, had I not started this, not to pat myself on the back, but had I not started this, I don't know if they would have made that connection. And so I have people reaching out to me saying, thank you for hosting these events. I have met the most amazing people, the most amazing ladies. I've learned, such and such. So I just feel like that for me goes along with my passion and my purpose is these events, hosting the podcast, that kind of thing. But I love it.
I love it. I love it. Honestly, that is a true example of connecting, learning, and growing. And it is.
Yeah.
It's like acting with intentional and setting it up, and then those for the other people to take the initiative to grow together. And that it doesn't stop. Like, I think that's the other thing is that, like, there's no end. I like how you mentioned before, you're a lifelong learner. I think that's also one of the Gen X things is like, once I get here, then it will be. But like, it's truly in creating it, in curating it, in showing up, in learning and growing, and then continuing it. And as the law of vibration always says, I mean, we're either moving forward or moving back. Don't stay the same. And I think we can sometimes get stuck in that same. So Nancy, I could talk to you for hours, and we will. I'll definitely have you back on the show. But I do want to end with a final quick fire round of the ageless 5 of what I'm going to be calling these.
Okay, I can't wait. I have no idea.
I know. This is beautiful. And then we'll end, of course, with you sharing how people can reach out to you and get involved with the many events that you're leading, as well as the show. And honestly, Nancy, you and I have to curate something here and bring people up to Alberta. So
let's do it.
We'll take that offline, but you heard it here first, and keep us honest. We're expressing, we're expanding, we're getting exposed. And Nancy gets to answer the ageless 5. So a belief that you're done with, Nancy. What's a belief?
Not being enough.
A habit you swear by.
Enough sleep.
Oh,
getting enough sleep.
Number?
It's crazy. At least 8 hours. I need a ton of sleep.
Oh, I love it. What's one question you ask yourself often?
What have I done for myself today to feel good? Because I'm looking at like my nutrition, my water intake. So I'm constantly reminding myself to take care of myself. And I've never felt better because of it. But what am I doing? And it used to be a selfish question, but now it is the most unselfish, taking care of myself so I can be there for other people too.
Oh my gosh, double drops the belief here on us. What's a book or a quote that's changed you?
Okay, let me think of my favorite quote. It is, and I might have to look it up. It is create the highest, grandest possible vision for your life because you become what you believe. And Oprah Winfrey. Thank you, Miss O.
Oh, okay. I love it. Last question of my ageless 5 is, Nancy, can you share for us what your definition of an ageless, exposed life is?
Oh my gosh. I think just having a zest for life and excitement to wake up in the morning and just that overall feeling of feeling good, living your purpose. I think that's what I try to do every day.
Oh, I love it. Warm my heart. Nancy, where can people follow your work, and what's the best way to experience the power of your community and get a hold of you? You mentioned Instagram. Where else are you? And share
Okay.
about the event coming up in a couple weeks.
Yes. So you can find me at nancymore.co. And that is also my Instagram handle. You can also find me on Facebook, and that is Sharing Passion and Purpose. It is the name of my podcast. And then you can find my podcast on Spotify, all the major platforms, Sharing Passion and Purpose. And my event coming up is Friday, September 12th, and it is a half-day event, and it's really for women in the Tulsa area. But I am going to be announcing something that will be for women all over. So I'm very excited about that. So join my email list, nancymore.co. You can scroll down, input your information, and you'll be in the loop because I will be making that announcement very, very soon.
Amazing. Thank you. And that's a wrap on this episode, our first official episode with a guest. So thank you, Nancy.
Thank
If you
you.
heard something that hit you deep, don't scroll past it. Sit with it, share it, and start asking better questions of yourself. If you're ready to go deeper, join the Exposed Living community on Facebook or find me on Instagram at Stacey Van Thun to keep the fire going. Remember, we're not here to fix the past. We're here to build the future agelessly. Thanks for joining us on Exposed Living, and we'll see you next time. Yay!
Thank you. I love it.
That's it for today's episode of Exposed Living, Be Ageless. But this is just the beginning. If this episode made you feel something, share it. Tag me. Send it to a friend. Let's start the conversation we can be having all along. No shame, no guilt. Unfiltered, raw, real, exposed. And if you're ready to go deeper, join us inside the Exposed Living Facebook community, where we take this work off the podcast and into real life. Know this, your change starts when your excuses die. Because this life, this one wild, ageless, unforgettable life is waiting on you. This is your time. This is your truth. This is Exposed Living.